Shocking moment. A millionaire allowed her to wash his clothes, not knowing she was pregnant. In the heart of a bustling suburban town, where the rhythmic hum of lawn mowers drowned out the whispers of worry, Sarah found herself struggling beneath the weight of her responsibilities. Single and just 32, she'd grown adept at juggling her job at a local grocery store and the delightful chaos that came with raising her 8-year-old son, Tyler. Each day was pure survival, meals rushed, bills piled high, and dreams of a stable home slipping away like grains of sand. But Sarah's heart beat with fierce determination, an unwavering belief that she could carve out a future for her son no matter what. It was a regular Tuesday when Sarah took on an extra job, washing clothes for the wealthier families in her neighborhood. She knocked on doors, hoping for a glimmer of extra cash, a few dollars to patch the leaks in her budget. It wasn't long before she found herself in front of a mansion that seemed to stretch endlessly into the sky. This was David's house, a charming millionaire who was blissfully unaware of the reality outside his gilded gates, his life a stark contrast to Sarah's daily grind. As she sorted through his tailored shirts, knit ties, and fancy suits, the luxurious fabrics felt like a world apart from her own. A simple thread of guilt wove through her, as she handled the garments of a man who held privilege in one hand but appeared blind to the struggles of those around him. But the feel of the fabric beneath her hands was nothing compared to what awaited her that day. Just when she thought she might make it through another exhausting shift, a wave of nausea hit her. She stepped back, her breath hitching as reality crashed down. She was pregnant again. Fear gripped her, a tight knot forming deep in her chest. How could she manage another child? How could she afford it? Questions swirled like the damp laundry in her hands. As thoughts of her already strained finances clouded her mind, she caught a glimpse of David through the window. She saw a man immersed in his own worries. The strain etched on his face revealed the pressures that came with privilege. He was a prisoner in his own life, too. Before they could process this unexpected connection, trouble struck when David's business took a nosedive. Suddenly, Sarah's laundry services were in jeopardy, and as bills loomed larger, she found herself propelling toward a confrontation she never imagined she'd need to have. Straightening her back, Sarah steeled herself, ready to knock on David's door and taste the bitter truth about their very existence. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Sarah confronted him about her spiraling circumstances, the air crackled with tension. Their different worlds strained against each other, unraveling unspoken truths that neither had faced before. "Do you even see us?" Sarah asked, voice trembling, heart pounding, emotion bubbling in her throat. With their lives crashing into one another, who would rise from the wreckage? Could Sarah find hope amid her struggles for Tyler's sake? And would David, with his privileged blindness, ever grasp the human cost of the life he viewed from afar? The answers hung in the charged air like unheld breath. Silence settled, thick and heavy. What would they choose when the world demanded change, and how would their futures intertwine amidst the shifting expectations? The moment stretched, silence wrapping around them like a thick fog. Sarah's heart raced, an urgent drumbeat echoing in her ears. She felt exposed, like the unworn clothes hanging on David's line, vulnerable and out in the open. The weight of her worries pushed down on her chest as she attempted to hold his gaze, searching for some flicker of understanding in his blue eyes. David fidgeted, hands clenching at his sides. "I had no idea," he finally murmured, his voice low, almost broken. "I thought the laundry was just a side hustle for you." The sincerity of his words landed differently than she'd expected. It was true, he had been removed, but there was a softness in his tone now, a hint of compassion. Sarah clenched her fists, torn between the urge to break down and the drive to stand tall for Tyler. "You thought it was just a side hustle?" Angry tears blurred her vision. "Do you know what it's like to face bills that pile higher than the laundry I wash for you? To figure out how to tell your child there isn't enough food on the table? His expression shifted, shadows of his own struggles flickering across his face. I didn't mean to. No, you didn't, she cut in, a sharp pang of frustration coloring her words. You live in a bubble. This is reality for people like me. For a moment either spoke. The words hung heavily in the air, binding them in a shared silence filled with unspoken understanding. David took a breath, his shoulders dropping slightly. You're right, he said finally, voice steadier now. I've been caught up in my own chaos. But I want to help you. What can I do? Hope flickered in Sarah's chest, a cautious light. She hadn't expected such an offer, especially from a man whose world felt so far removed from her own. Help? She shook her head, not wanting to accept charity, yet desperate for a way out of the tightening grip of her situation. What do I need? More laundry? I don't want a handout. No, he interjected, his voice calm but firm. Not charity. A partnership. He stepped a little closer, eyes earnest. I can help you find more clients or connect you with people who need your services. I know wealthy families. I can put in a good word. You deserve to thrive, not just survive. His offer stirred something deep within her, a mixture of relief and skepticism. Was this man really willing to help her, or was it just a fleeting moment driven by guilt? But then the thought of Tyler's smile brightened the edges of her doubt. A chance for a better future. It was a risk worth considering. Why? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. What's in it for you? David hesitated, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Maybe I'm tired of being blind to the realities around me. Maybe I just want to do something meaningful for a change. Could she really trust him? Could they bridge the gap between their worlds and build something real together? As uncertainty knotted her stomach, the potential for change shimmered in the air between them. I don't want things to be awkward, Sarah said finally, forcing herself to relax. If you take me up on this, I won't let you down. But you need to do your part too. I promise. There was something different in his tone, a conviction that resonated with her heart. Yet, as they exchanged tentative smiles, their fragile connection brimming with possibilities, either knew just how far this path would lead them. And as they began to inhabit a shared space, whispers of doubt lingered, waiting to rise with challenges looming on the horizon. But what would happen when their pasts caught up to them? How long could they sustain this newfound partnership before the weight of their realities pulled them apart? The weeks unfolded like a careful thread being woven together, each day stitching new hope into the fabric of Sarah's life. The partnership David had proposed transformed what had once felt heavy and oppressive into a tapestry of possibilities. With each client he introduced her to, her business blossomed. In the midst of chaos, she found herself brewing a new dream, complete with aspirations and resilience. One afternoon, as she folded freshly laundered linens in her tiny kitchen, the warm sunlight spilled through the window, igniting her surroundings in a golden glow. It was a stark contrast to the cold reality she had faced before. The bustling sounds of the neighborhood filled her ears, punctuated by the laughter of children playing outside. For the first time in what felt like forever, she smiled, truly smiled, lost in the vision of everything she could achieve. But every flicker of joy was quickly overshadowed by the worry of uncertainty. What if David's generous nature turned out to be more of a burden than a blessing? She was combing through thoughts when there was a knock on her door. The sound jolted her back to the present. Sarah? David's familiar voice called through the thin wood. Come in, she replied, trying to shake off the weight of her distractions. He walked in, holding a stack of flyers. Look at this, he said with excitement, extending the papers toward her. We can put these around the neighborhood, advertising your services. Local families need help, and I know just the right spots to place them. Her heart swelled. She took the flyers, her fingers brushing against his as she did. The warmth lingered, and her pulse quickened. This was teamwork, no longer just a lifeline thrown her way, but a real partnership. This is amazing, David. Thank you. But then, a sudden thought crashed into her bubble of happiness. Do you think people will really trust me? What if they see me as just a maid? Her insecurities burst free, breaking through the surface like bubbles in a boiling pot. They'll see you for who you are, he assured, his voice firm and unwavering. You care about your work, and that's what matters most. Just then, the door creaked open wider, and in walked Melissa, David's younger sister, with wide eyes. Sorry to interrupt, she chirped, a little too enthusiastically. I just wanted to drop by and see what you guys are up to. Looks like busy work. A flash of discomfort flickered through Sarah. Just getting started with some promotional stuff, she said, forcing an easy smile while trying to read Melissa's thoughts. Oh, I should help with that, Melissa exclaimed. I know all the right people at the country club. She paused, looking between Sarah and David, her expression brightening with mischievous curiosity. You two seem to be getting along quite well. Just working, David deflected, rolling his eyes playfully. Sarah felt heat rise to her cheeks. Was it that obvious? As the afternoon waned, and they all worked side by side, laughter punctuated their hard work. The embarrassment began to fade into something warmer, a sense of camaraderie wrapping around them like a fuzzy blanket. Yet, beneath the laughter, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being on thin ice. But just as she entertained the thought of a routine settling in, the doorbell rang. Sarah's heart flared with apprehension as she opened the door to reveal a man in a sharp suit. He had an air of authority that made her stomach knot. Excuse me, he said, glancing around as if searching for someone. Is David here? She glanced back over her shoulder, panic setting in. I think he's in the back. She stepped aside, not wanting to shatter the newfound relationship between herself and David. As the man walked inside, her pulse quickened. What did he want? What would his presence mean for their precious partnership? In that moment, with uncertainty swirling around her like a tempest, Sarah felt the weight of her reality crashing back down. The past she thought she'd left behind was looming ever closer, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the ground beneath her was about to shift again. But could she protect what they had built before it was too late? The man stepped into her modest home with a confidence that seemed almost oppressive. Sarah's heart raced as she tried to assess him in a fleeting second. Dark hair slicked back, tailored suit hugging his frame, and an expression that conveyed both purpose and a hint of intimidation. Is David Johnson here? He asked again, this time a little more demanding. Yeah, he's in the back, she managed to say, her voice steadier than her nerves. As she turned, she felt her stomach churn. Who was this man? Was he here for David's business, or something more personal? She fought to focus while the clamor of her anxiety mixed with the distant sounds of laughter from David and Melissa in the kitchen. Moments later, David emerged from the back room. The shift in the atmosphere was palpable. His playful aura dimmed, replaced by one of cautious intrigue. What's going on? David asked, eyeing the stranger. David Johnson, the man stated, extending a hand. I'm Martin Reed. They shook, and Sarah couldn't help but watch the exchange, her heart pounding. Something about Martin felt off, like a storm cloud hovering close to home. Sarah was just helping me with some flyers, David explained, glancing at her. The underlying concern in his voice was unmistakable. Martin offered a nod, though his focus quickly turned back to David. I've been reviewing your work, and I like what I see. I wanted to discuss a potential collaboration. Collaboration? David's brows knitted together, an unreadable expression crossing his face. Your cleaning service could expand into some high-tier clientele. We're talking luxury estates. Exclusive contracts, Martin continued, his voice smooth, but there was an urgency embedded in his words. I believe there's a significant market you could tap into, with the right connections. Sarah's pulse quickened at the thought. Rising higher than her skepticism was a flicker of hope, but it was quickly doused by her inner cynic. What's the catch? She blurted out, unable to hold back. Martin met her gaze, an eyebrow raised, surprise flitting across his features. No catch. Just business. Business that sounds too good to be true, she pressed. David jumped in, trying to ease the tension. Sarah's right, it's a big leap. We need to think it over. Martin's smile sharpened. I can assure you, the opportunities are worth it. But keep in mind, your competition is eager to fill that gap. A thick silence enveloped the room, laced with unspoken doubts. Sarah's instincts screamed caution, warning her not to let ambition blind her to the truth. Melissa stepped forward, breaking the tension. What about your current clients? Are you just going to leave them behind? They'll always be taken care of, Martin responded, his voice dismissive. There's enough for everyone. But you need to move fast. As he spoke, Sarah's stomach twisted. What if their small venture exploded, but at the cost of everything she'd built? The image of her clients flashed across her mind, families who relied on her services and connection. Can we have some time to think about it? David asked, looking to Sarah for agreement. Absolutely, Martin said with a smirk that didn't quite reach his eyes. But time waits for no one. With a nod, he turned to leave, and as he walked out, the door closed behind him with an ominous finality. What do we do now? Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper, her heart heavy with the weight of possibilities. I don't know. David's face showed a mix of excitement and trepidation. I want to build something big, but what if it blows up in our faces? She finished, her throat tight. Just then, a sense of dread washed over her as she thought about the future cradled in her belly, her secrets still tucked away. How could she protect her dreams, and this new life inside her, from the swirling chaos that just entered their lives? As uncertainty wrapped around her heart, she felt the tension escalate. What would their partnership look like if they chose to embrace this opportunity? And at what cost? All Sarah could do was hope none of them would regret their next move. Sarah paced the small living room, her frayed nerves fidgeting like colors on an old television screen. Each step seemed to echo with the weight of Martin's words. Move fast, he had said. But was speed really the answer when everything felt so precarious? David, she began, her voice trembling just enough for him to notice. What do we really know about this guy? I mean, it all feels, well, too easy. David leaned back against the kitchen counter, crossing his arms as if to shield himself from the swirling uncertainty around them. I get that. But think about it. This could change everything for us. We could finally get out of this neighborhood and provide for ourselves, for his eyes flicked to her midsection, and a flicker of doubt passed over his face. For the baby. She swallowed hard. The baby? That secret by itself felt monumental, but when intertwined with their future dreams, it became an impossible knot of hope and fear. Do you really think we can take that risk when we have so much at stake? I don't know, Sarah. His tone softened, the excitement beginning to fade. There's no guarantee in this boring routine either. Our lives are just okay. But what if we made a real impact? An impact? Her voice rose slightly, frustration bubbling. You think targeting high-end clients will make us happy? What about the relationships we've built with our current clients? They trust us. Are we just supposed to drop everything? David pinched the bridge of his nose. I didn't say drop them. I said we could expand. This could mean greater security for everyone involved. As Sarah tried to process his words, Melissa chimed in, her usual brightness dimmed with concern. Maybe we could ask for a few references, see what else Martin has done before? Just to get a sense of him. References? Sarah scoffed. He walked in here like a serpent in a suit, offering shiny things. Melissa frowned, visibly unsettled. Okay, but what if he's legit? What if he's what we need? Sometimes you have to take leaps of faith, but Sarah couldn't help but think of all the unseen pitfalls. She pictured Martin's penetrating gaze, the way he dismissed their worries with a wave of his hand, as if their fears were unworthy of concern. I can't shake the feeling this isn't right. It feels like a trade-off, and I'm not willing to trade our integrity for an opportunity. Her heart raced as she laid out her fears. What if we lose everything we've worked for? David stood up straight, pulling her into his arms, but the comfort felt distant. We're not losing anything. We'd be building. Together. Just think about it, okay? They held onto each other, words hanging heavily above, shifting tension filling the space between them. That gentleness brought warmth but soon felt like a tide ready to turn. The doorbell rang, a harsh, unexpected sound that startled them both. Sarah's heart dropped. Who could it be? Could it be Martin again, here to pressure them? I'll get it, David volunteered, his resolve palpable as he made his way to the door. As he opened it, a familiar face appeared, Renee, their oldest client. She stood there, bags in hand, her eyes wide and glimmering with excitement. David! Sarah! You won't believe what happened! She exclaimed, rushing in without waiting for an invitation, the bags spilling around her with a gentle thud and a cascade of silence in the wake of her energy. What's wrong? Sarah asked, concern swimming to the surface. Is this a bad time? Renee glanced around, her cheerful nature momentarily wavering. Amidst the tension and concerns about the future, a sudden realization settled in Sarah's mind. She wanted to protect what she had. But as she eyed the bags and their contents, curiosity mixed with dread, she wondered what news would come next and how it might shake their shaky foundations further. Wait, what happened? Sarah pressed, sensing something was amiss. Just wait until you hear this, Renee started, her voice bubbling with urgency, unaware that Sarah was battle-ready for an unexpected twist that could lead them all to an even bigger dilemma. What could they possibly face next? Renee took a breath, her excitement spilling out like a fountain. I just came back from that charity gala downtown. You know, the one with the big names you always hear about? She glanced at the bags, a thrill in her eyes. I was lucky enough to get in, and you won't believe who I ran into. Sarah exchanged a puzzled look with David. The last thing they needed was to get swept up in more drama, but curiosity gnawed at her. Who? David urged, leaning closer. Cole Harrington. The hotel magnate. Renee beamed, her cheeks flushed. He was looking for someone to help organize his next event, and I told him about you too. He seemed interested. Sarah's heart raced. Cole Harrington? The same guy who owns half the hotels in the city? Renee nodded vigorously. Exactly. He's looking to shake things up and give back to the community. I thought of you both immediately. David's expression shifted from concern to intrigue. That's incredible. This could really be our chance, and you think he'll actually take us seriously? Sarah's voice faltered. I mean, what do we know about him? Everything I've heard has been good, Renee said, excitement tinged with a hint of caution. He genuinely wants to make an impact and is looking for fresh ideas. But she hesitated, biting her lip. There's something else. He's got some personal stuff going on. Sarah raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Her stomach clenched. He lost his wife last year, Renee said quietly, the weight of her words settling like a heavy blanket. It's been hard on him, and he's trying to move forward. But I think he still needs support. He could use friends more than business partners. Sarah felt a pang of empathy. The world often forgot that behind every name, there were real people with genuine struggles. David shifted, his excitement dimming into thoughtfulness. Do you think he's ready for something like this? We're not just here to help him reinvent his brand while he heals. Renee's gaze dropped to the floor, and for the first time, she seemed unsure. I didn't think about it that way. But what if he really wants to channel his grief into something productive? Maybe we could help each other. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. On one hand, this might be an opportunity that they could never dream of again. On the other, her gut still held on to that uncomfortable feeling she had about Martin's offer. Renee, we're already overloaded trying to build something reliable. Getting involved with someone who's wrestling with loss, it feels complicated. But isn't that what we do? Renee argued gently. We help people bring their ideas to life. Think about the greater impact we could have. Maybe it's a chance not just for you, but to really make a difference. Their living room felt electric now, tension shifting as dreams clashed with fears. Sarah could see the spark igniting in David's eyes, but undercurrents of doubt tugged at her heart. She pulled David close, whispering, "This could change everything. But what if it doesn't? What if it deepens our struggles? Renee leaned in, her voice softer. Just think about it a bit more. You have until tomorrow to decide. I'll set up a meeting, okay? David nodded, his jaw set with determination. We can handle this together. We have to be smart about it. As Renee left, Sarah felt the weight of what lay ahead only grow. The pressure was mounting, and the road ahead was becoming less clear. She sensed decisions looming just beyond the horizon, each with the power to alter their future. What other secrets might come spilling out if they agreed to meet Cole? And would they really be ready for the storm that followed? Sarah sat on the edge of the couch, her fingers drumming nervously on her knees. David stood by the window, staring out at the street below. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, a beautiful distraction in the chaos swirling in her mind. They had their own dreams, their own struggles, and now they were on the brink of diving into someone else's pain. Do you think we should take the meeting? David finally asked, turning away from the view. His eyes sought hers, searching for clarity in the midst of uncertainty. She shrugged, a wave of dread washing over her. I don't know. What if we're getting in over our heads? We have our project, and the weight of the unformed idea sat heavy between them, an invisible wall of anxiety they both felt. What if this is exactly what we need? David pressed. His excitement flickered back to life, ignited by the possibility of working with someone like Cole. He's got the resources to help us. He wants to give back. How often does that happen? More often than not, people are complicated, she countered softly. Look at us. We're trying to figure things out too. I feel like we might just end up being one more burden for him. I understand, David said, his voice gentle yet steady. But what if we could be allies in each other as struggles? What if Cole could teach us something? His words hung in the air, holding a flicker of hope. She wanted to believe it. She did. But the reality of their own lives weighed too heavily, each day a battle to keep their aspirations from spiraling into nothing. Just then, her phone buzzed, slicing through the tension. It was a reminder notification, her appointment with the doctor, a checkup that had been looming like a shadow in the background. She had delayed scheduling it, but now it was here, like an unsettled knot pulling at her gut. David noticed the change in her expression. What is it? He asked, his brow furrowed with concern. Just an appointment, she murmured, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The doctor, she trailed off, a hard lump forming in her throat. Is everything okay? His gaze softened, recognizing the upturn in her demeanor. You know you can talk to me. I know, it's just she hesitated, her heart pounding as she considered whether she should share this with him. What if sharing made it all too real? Sarah, please, David prompted, concern deepening in his voice. You can't carry this alone. She took a breath, reminding herself of the promise they made to be there for each other, through the heavy and light. I've been feeling off lately, like I can't shake this feeling of something being wrong. Like what? He stepped closer, reaching for her hand. Like I might be. Her voice trailed off, but the weight of her words sat heavy in the air. David's eyes widened. What are you saying? I'm saying I think I might be pregnant. A moment of silence followed, where disbelief and hope battled inside them. David's eyes searched her face, looking for the truth. She could see them grappling with shock and wonder, each emotion a bright flash of light cutting through the cloud of uncertainty that lay ahead. What are we going to do? He finally whispered, as if she held all the answers. A flurry of emotion surged through her: fear, joy, anxiety, each vying for dominance like waves crashing against the shore. This moment would change everything, wouldn't it? One phone call, one meeting with Cole, and suddenly their lives had the potential to spin in a direction they could hardly foresee. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the doorbell rang, breaking the heavy moment. Her heart raced. Was it Renee? Or perhaps Cole, already testing the waters of their partnership? Do you want me to get it? David asked, still holding her hand. Yeah, please, she managed, heart racing at the newfound gravity of the moment. What if everything was about to shift? David opened the door slowly, and a familiar face peered back, carrying an unexpected air of resolve. It was Renee, but this time her demeanor was different. There was no wild excitement in her eyes, instead, it was something deeper, something heavier. "Hey," Renee said, her voice tinged with urgency. "We need to talk. You won't believe what I just found out about Cole." Sarah felt the world tip further off its axis. What was coming next, and how would it shape the choices ahead? Renee stepped inside, her usually bright smile dimmed by a serious weight. She wasted no time. "I just left a meeting with Cole's team. There's a lot more going on with him than we realized." David and Sarah exchanged glances, their previous conversation momentarily forgotten in the shadow of Renee's revelation. "I thought he was just some guy looking to invest," David said, his voice low. "What do you mean?" Renee ran a hand through her hair, clearly trying to collect her thoughts. "It's complicated. He's going through some heavy stuff. They mentioned a recent personal loss, and well, there's a lot of speculation about his mental health." "Speculation?" Sarah asked, a knot tightening in her stomach. "Yeah," Renee replied, her gaze shifting to Sarah, sensing the tension. "Apparently he lost someone close to him recently. A family member. They hinted that he's been throwing himself into work to distract from it all. But getting involved in our project? It might mean he's looking for more than just a partnership." "What do you mean?" David pressed, confused and concerned. Renee hesitated, gauging their reactions. "There's talk that he could be vulnerable, like he sees people as tools to fix his own issues. There's a risk, you know? If we get too close, it might not just be business anymore." Sarah felt a chill wash over her. She had seen this pattern before. And what if that vulnerability leads to him putting too much of his pain on us? What if it pulls us under? "Exactly," Renee said, her voice thick with concern. "I don't think he's in a place to help us the way we hoped. We might end up being part of his mess." David sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "But what if we are the people he needs? What if we could truly help him? Maybe there's a part of him that's looking for a way out of the darkness." "David, you're thinking with your heart," Sarah countered, her own anxiety surfacing again. "You always do. But this isn't just about us. There's another life at stake now." She looked down at her hands, feeling the weight of her unshared news pressing down like a heavy stone. "I can't reach out for help when I don't know what I'll be able to handle." "Sarah, please," David said, his voice steady but pleading. "We need to make decisions together. After our meeting with Cole, we can decide what to do, especially if we're going to navigate this pregnancy." Renee's eyes softened, the urgency lingering but now layered with empathy. "You should both think about what you want from this," she said gently, "because each decision will lead you down a different path." The room felt heavy with unspoken words. Sarah's heart raced again, not just from the potential of a partnership with Cole, but from the realization that her life was about to head down an entirely different road. "Let us take the meeting," David finally broke the silence, determination filling his words. "But let us be careful. We can't lose sight of what's important." Renee nodded, her expression reflecting a mix of concern and support. "Okay, I'll back you both. But if it feels wrong, we need to be ready to walk away." As they exchanged a heavy silence filled with uncharted paths lying before them, the doorbell interrupted once more. This time, David looked at Sarah, his eyes conveying a mix of warmth and apprehension. "Do you want me to get it again?" "Yes," she replied, her heart racing, half afraid and half excited about who might be on the other side. David opened the door, and her breath caught in her throat. Waiting on the front step was Cole, his expression serious, almost desperate. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice low but resonating with a vulnerability she hadn't expected. At that moment, everything shifted again. The world around them pulsed with uncertainty. Sarah's mind raced. What did Cole want? And would their lives ever be the same after this conversation? Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she stood frozen, a whirlwind of emotion swirling within her. Cole's presence filled the doorway, creating an unexpected intimacy. He looked tired, shadows clinging to the edges of his eyes, as if the weight of his grief pressed against him like an invisible shroud. Sure, David responded, stepping aside to let him in. The tension shifted palpably in the air as Sarah stepped back to give Cole room. Her mind screamed for clarity, yet her heart struggled to find its rhythm among the storm of worries. Once inside, Cole glanced around the room. I didn't mean to intrude. His gaze fell upon both David and Sarah, capturing the undercurrent of dread and concern in their expressions. No, it's fine, David replied, his tone attempting to balance politeness with the gravity of the situation. We were just talking about the project. Cole nodded but avoided eye contact, his hands fidgeting with the hem of his jacket. I wanted to apologize for my behavior lately. I've been, well, not myself. Just the admission of vulnerability cut deeper than Sarah anticipated. She knew the kind of turmoil that could lead someone to place walls around their emotions, yet her own caution held her back from opening herself to him fully. I can't imagine how hard it's been for you, David said, his voice steady. But we're here to help, Cole. We want to understand. That's the problem, Cole sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose, as if holding back tears. I feel like I'm dragging this darkness everywhere I go. And I guess I thought if I just threw myself into work things would get better? Sarah interrupted gently, her instinct to empathize breaking through. Sometimes, what we need is for someone to reach into that darkness with us. Cole's eyes flickered, surprise etched across his features. You're right. And that's why I came. I need to talk about how I'm feeling. About everything. As he spoke, Sarah's internal turmoil swelled. This conversation ripped layers from her own heart. She felt exposed, her pregnancy hanging unspoken in the air, a secret tied to the weight of their future. What do you really want from this project, Cole? David asked pointedly, sensing the shift. Is it just about business, or is there more you're looking for? Cole hesitated again, his brow furrowing. I thought I could find solace in the success of something bigger than myself. But now I see that's not enough. It was never just about the money. With those words, Sarah's breath caught again. She felt the magnetic pull of understanding. She wanted to reach out and tell him her truth, but the words were tangled in her throat. In the silence that enveloped them, each person bore the weight of their own unspoken fears. Finally, Sarah took a deep breath. Cole, if you trust us, we want to be part of your journey. But we also have our own burdens. The moment felt electric, charged with a profound understanding that could alter everything. Cole looked directly at her, as if searching for something deeper in her gaze. What do you mean? Before she could respond, her phone buzzed on the table, shattering the delicate moment. It was a reminder of an upcoming appointment that made her heart race. I have something I need to share, but now may not be the right moment. Cole's curiosity intensified, his expression shifting from concern to anticipation. Whenever you're ready to talk about it, I'll be here. As he gained composure, Sarah felt a reluctant bond forming amidst the uncertainty. Thoughts swarmed in her mind, bouncing between being a supportive friend and protecting her own heart. Before the weight of the world could crush her resolve, David spoke up again. We have a meeting to prepare for, Cole. But maybe we can work through some of this together. Yeah, Cole replied quietly, a flicker of hope lighting his tired gaze. Let us do that. Yet, as the air filled with potential, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Standing at the precipice of choices that could either shatter or strengthen their lives, she wondered if they had the power to weave their stories together, or if shadows would continue to chase them. Is everything about to change? Sarah pondered deep within, as this unexpected bond and its implications spun around her like a dance of uncertainty. Days turned into weeks, and a new rhythm emerged. Sarah, David, and Cole's lives intertwined deeper than any of them had anticipated. They met frequently, planning logistics, sharing laughter, and sometimes exploring their vulnerabilities in fleeting heart-to-heart conversations. The project took shape, transforming from a simple business venture into a shared mission that ignited a fire within them. The promotional materials spread across the neighborhood like ripples in a pond. People began to notice the trio, Sarah's genuine care shining through, and Cole's sincerity breaking the surface of his grief. Slowly, the terror of trust faded, replaced with hope. They became a collective force, igniting change in tiny, significant ways. Yet life still had its way of stirring doubt. As deadlines approached, tension crawled back into the corners. Sarah found herself grappling with her secret, an announcement that twisted in her stomach, the thought of revealing her pregnancy looming over her like dark clouds. One evening, Sarah walked into Cole's home office. It felt like an intimate setting, the sun setting behind tall windows casting warm light over everything. "Cole," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "can we talk?" He glanced up from his notes, the remnants of sorrow in his gaze. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "About the project and me," she stammered. "Things have been so good, but I can't keep hiding. I need you both to know that I'm pregnant." The room fell silent, the air thick with unspoken words. Cole blinked, processing the revelation. "Pregnant?" he echoed softly, searching her face for assurance. "Yes. And it's terrifying. I want to be transparent about what I'm carrying, literally and figuratively." Tears threatened to spill, but she held them back, willing to embrace the vulnerability. "I don't want to drag you both into a whirlwind if things become complicated. My struggles might disrupt what we're building." Cole leaned closer, a protective warmth radiating from him. "Sarah, this is great news. A child is a blessing. I'm here for you in whatever way you need. Maybe we all needed this moment, this grounding." "I agree," David chimed in, walking into the room. "And this makes our partnership even more meaningful. We're family now, and families support each other." His eyes bounced between them, full of optimism. As those words hung in the air, Sarah felt a radiant smile bloom upon her face. The connection they all shared hit a deeper note, a tapestry woven with understanding and compassion. Days turned into months, and each day of work invigorated Sarah, bringing her dreams closer. Tyler was excited about becoming a big brother, and the prospect painted a bright future, one where struggles felt slightly lighter. But shadows loomed in the distance, and Martin had not given up. He loitered at the edges of their success, an unnerving reminder of what was once their greatest challenge. Rumors spread, whispers of his intentions and threats of competition. Sarah and David exchanged worried glances, echoing unspoken fears. But one fateful afternoon, those fears transformed. Martin found them all at a local diner after a long day of work. His smug smile cracked open like a taut bowstring. "I see you've been busy," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "Trying to outrun your shadows?" David clenched his fists, but felt Sarah's gentle touch on his arm. She took a deep breath, centering herself amidst the impending storm. "We're building something real, Martin. Something that's strong and sustainable." "Real? You think this is going to last?" "It's just a matter of time before you drop the ball," he bit back, his eyes narrowing. "I suggest you all back off and consider your next steps carefully." Sarah held her head high, a newfound strength surging within her. "We will not apologize for our ambition or the choices we make as a family. We're committed to each other and our work. You're welcome to continue lurking in the background, but know we're only getting started." In that moment, it felt as if the walls surrounding them, murky fears and apprehensions, began to crack. The trio stood together, united not just in business but in a shared belief that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The world might try to tear them apart, but they had formed a bond. With love, resilience, and unity, they stepped into the light. Nothing would overshadow the future they were building, one day at a time. The call for action, the path ahead, echoed within them as they left the diner and transformed their fears into a roaring commitment. This was more than a partnership, it was a family. And with every step forward, they embraced their journey with open hearts. Now you need to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now, let us feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring journey. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel. Let us grow together.